The gaming laptop market is often considered by many people as something premium and overexpensive, but it can be justified by high performance that allows you to run all modern games practically in portability. In other words, without being tied to any place, which is not far from the truth. But in fact, there are also pitfalls. After all, Asus, even among gaming laptops, has a budget line TUF that is much cheaper than the most premium models. Why the price is much lower and how the savings of money affects the quality of the final product, all this we'll try to figure out in today's review of Asus TUF Gaming F15. You're on the Lemon channel, so be sure to subscribe to stay in touch with all the latest news of the techno world. We're starting now, enjoy watching! So, in any laptop, regardless of the price, the quality of production and its durability plays an important role. After all, many would agree that when buying a product, you think about how to use it instead of where to find a good service center. And in this regard, Asus makes no compromises, even in its cheap line of gaming laptops. Yeah, TUF Gaming F15 is made of plastic in contrast to more expensive models of the gaming line made of aluminum alloy. We have already told about them in other videos on the channel, you can watch them if you're interested. But even so, the laptop seems to be quite durable to put it in a bag and carry with you wherever you want. It doesn't creak or backlash. Besides, the lid has an aluminum cover, which improves the overall impression. So the developers were not trying to make a niche product by maximizing savings on everything, but made it in a proper way, where such savings will affect the price but not the quality of the laptop. Plus, externally, this is of course a matter of taste, but the designers also tried to make the design recognizable. And again, if we compare it to more expensive Asus models, it lacks some details that indicate that this is a gaming laptop. Well, there's no LED backlighting that goes through the casing, or a glowing logo with other delights. However, there are some decorative bolts on the edges of the lid which add brutality, and in the center you can see the logo of this model. Plus, the cover itself is made in an unusual shape. At the top they added a latch which houses a 720p camera and a pair of microphones which is comfortable for opening the laptop. And at the bottom there is a halo which makes it possible to see the laptop indication even when it's closed, made in the 4-leaf clover format, which is also like a trifold but looks unusual and makes the laptop stand out. By the way, since we have mentioned the lid, let's focus on it. On the screen to be more precise, which is located in the lid. Asus offers a choice of 3 types of display, 2 Full HD ones differing in quality and screen refresh rate, and 1 Quad HD. The first one is put in the cheapest models with Full HD resolution, 144Hz, and sRGB coverage of 65%, which for a gaming laptop is definitely not critical, but in some places the colors will not be displayed correctly. And is it worth it considering that you can buy a little bit more expensive Full HD version but with 300Hz and sRGB coverage of around 100%, meaning that this is appropriate for amateur video editing, color correction and other stuff. I think I shouldn't even mention the quality of movies on such a screen. But in today's world, the best option is a Quad HD version with 165Hz and DCI-P3 color coverage of around 100%, because its hardware can run games at this resolution, and the color coverage allows you not only use this laptop for games, but also for work. Otherwise, all displays have not bad viewing angles. However, they're not perfect. We shouldn't forget that this is a budget model. There's also a manual switching of the screen refresh rate depending on the mode of use, which can extend the battery life. We're reviewing the Quad HD display model with a battery of 90 watt-hours, although there is a model with 56 watt-hours. In the battery test, it lasted 6 hours and 35 minutes with 165 Hz. If you lower the frame rate to 60, the battery life increases by an hour up to 7 hours 34 minutes, which by the way is only an hour less than a more premium model Zephyrus G15, with a result of 8 hours 48 minutes. The review on this laptop you can watch on our channel. However, in games, the result is not the most outstanding, which is expected just a little more than an hour. But in general, in real working conditions, the gaming laptop handles everyday tasks perfectly with no danger of quick discharge of the battery. However, if the battery is dead, you can recharge it somewhere in a cafe or outside the house without a 240 watt power supply, which provides charging up to 100% in an hour and a half. Even considering the presence of 2 USB Type-C, the device can use them for charging. They're placed on the left edge of the laptop along with the charging socket, LAN port RJ45, HDMI connector and a regular USB 3.1 along with a pair jack for headphones and microphone, which is a complete set of everything you need. Except for the card reader, which is not here at all, both on one side and on the other where another USB-A is located, which is uncomfortable for those who take the laptop for work, but a little thing for those who need only games or who can get by using a USB flash drive. On top of the casing, there is a full-size keyboard, in other words, the one with a numpad, which is something I haven't seen for a while in gaming laptops. That once again indicates the universal use of Asus TUF Gaming F15, both for work and for games. The keyboard itself is pleasant to touch, the pressing is informative. Perhaps it's because I switched from a similar laptop, but in general, Asus was never stingy on the quality of their keyboards. After all, even gaming laptops, people more often use a mouse instead of a trackpad, which can be saved on, but the keyboard is indispensable even when playing games. So here they even decided to highlight this by making the gaming keys in a transparent plastic, which in combination with backlighting adds even more FPS in games. Of course, it's a joke, but in general, the keyboard is not bad, and despite the plastic casing, it doesn't flex during typing in everyday use. Well, it's clear if you want, you can flex even an aluminum casing, but during normal typing and long gaming sessions, the keyboard works perfectly. Speaking of the trackpad and the new model of the 2022, they made it 25% larger and removed physical buttons, replacing it with one under the trackpad. But it's made of plastic and quite loud when pressed. But it reads touches correctly, which works both with Windows gestures and allows you to avoid pressing it physically by double-tapping the trackpad to launch an application, or by using two fingers to open the context menu, which replaces pressing the right mouse click. Another change comparing to the models of previous years is the introduction of special keys at the top of the keyboard for adjusting the volume, turning off the microphone and opening Asus Armor Create application, which were previously available only on the Republic of Gamers versions. Also, at the top right above the keyboard there is a power button stylized by Asus. And at the bottom, near the Windows key, is the Fan function key, in combination with which you can change the monotonous backlighting of the keyboard, switch between working modes, and so on. And the rest design doesn't stand out in any particular way, everything is made to the maximum functionality and convenience, which most people should enjoy. On the backside of the casing, there's a radiator that cools down both Intel and AMD hardware depending on your preferences. The AMD lives a little longer in the battery, but this is quite obvious. Moreover, since this is a budget laptop in its segment, and there are plenty of options to fit every budget, so to speak. On the review, we have a model with Intel Core i7-12700H, meaning that the processor is mobile, but at the same time shows high performance, capable of processing up to 20 threads at the same time. NVIDIA RTX 3060 GPU up to 145 watts, 16 GB of RAM DDR5, and 1 TB SSD storage, which is very speedy according to Crystal Disk, more than 3 GB per second for reading and 1294 MB for writing. Next, we move to the hardware tests. In Cinebench, the laptop scored 1787 points in single-core mode, in multi-core 16,905. In Geekbench in single-core mode, the results are similar, 1792 points, while in multi-core the result is 9551 points. The graphics card was tested in 3D Mark in two different modes, Turbo and Performance. In the first one, the laptop scored 8406 points, and respectively 8063 points in Performance. Moreover, frame rate stability was 99% in both variants, which is very good result for such a small casing. The temperature was around 75–80 degrees Celsius, which is very good outcome while having critical temperature 100 degrees. But this is possible because of the noisy cooling system, which in the new model got an extra heat pipe and 3 modes of work, 2 of which I've already mentioned, and the third one is quiet, which reduces the noise of fans, but as a result increases the temperature, which affects the overall performance. By the way, there's a small life hack for these laptops. You should lift them above the table by a couple of centimeters in order to increase the airflow, which lowers the temperature by 10 degrees, since the standard legs can handle it very well. And now let's move on to the games in a gaming laptop. The first one is of course Cyberpunk, which with Full HD resolution and ultra settings shows about 60 FPS, which is a very decent result. The temperatures are within acceptable limits up to 80 degrees, and neither the processor nor the graphics card is not overloaded permanently. But if you add ray tracing with automatic DLSS, the GPU is loaded at 99% all the time. However, the temperatures also remains normal. The next one is Red Dead Redemption. At ultra settings in 2K resolution, it generates around 40 FPS. If you lower the resolution to Full HD, FPS is almost doubled, while the temperature remains at the same values. In a much older game from the same developers but still relevant GTA 5, FPS reaches 100 at Full HD and drops to 80 at 2K resolution. Well, and my favorite Apex Legends, which holds stable 100 frames at high settings and 1440p resolution. If you lower the resolution, frame rate goes up to 150 FPS, which is very cool, especially since for this screen, Full HD resolution is enough. Well, if you take other multiplayer shooters, Fortnite at extreme settings shows stable 90-100 FPS, about 250 in Valorant, and literally above 300 in CSGO. So yeah, this beast handles all modern games and will be able to do so for several years. Moreover, what's really pleasing, the laptop does not overheat. Of course it's noisy, but such a moderate temperature will not be screwing up the hardware. So, all in all, Asus really managed to save on some parts without sacrificing performance, and presented a great gaming laptop with a reserve of performance for the future, especially considering the RTX graphics card giving the opportunity to get in touch with ray tracing, and at the same time it doesn't cost a small fortune. And you can buy it cheaper if you take last year's model, for example with i5 on board and the same RTX 3060. You're gonna pay no more than $1,100 or even $1,000. Of course, you have to put up with noisy fans, plastic casing, less battery life than on AMD processors, but still powerful enough hardware to run all modern games, and the choice that Asus offers. So to say, the perfect balance of price and quality. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching this video until the end. Let me know in the comments if you like the laptop, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out new videos, and see you soon.